get right into it. This is week 2 of our series entitled Shift Happens. Now, remember, when you say shift happens, you gotta pronounce the F. Last week we talked about Joseph. Today we're going to be talking about another person by the name of Jehoshaphat. Now, Jehoshaphat was the son of King Asa. King Asa. You know, that's a good name. It's a guy named Asa that does spiritual growth on the go. I like that name. But anyway, we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about Joseph. And today we're coming to you from 2nd Chronicles 20, verses 1 through 37. Now, we're not going to spend the whole time talking about it. I'm going to give you the condensed version. But during this week, I want you to read that entire chapter because it's a great story about a shift that happened with King Jehoshaphat. So the story goes, during King Jehoshaphat's reign, the Ammonites, the Moabites, and the Midianites, and all those otherites, they decided, hey, we're going to overtake King Jehoshaphat and Judah. And this message got back to King Jehoshaphat. Now, right there, you see bad news always travels fast. People are always quick to spread lies, rumors, negativity, gossip, but they're hardly that fast when it comes to spreading positivity, good things people has done. But the way King Jehoshaphat handles this negativity is interesting. Yeah, he's scared. He's human. But the first thing he does is he prays to God. And he also puts the entire nation on a fast. That's right. He told them, hey, put down the KFC chicken buckets, put down the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches, and put down the crab legs or whatever you want to put in that scenario. We're going to go on a fast. We're going to completely seek God because you know what? We're actually not able to defeat this enemy that's coming our way. The nation immediately began fasting and praying, and the way they prayed to God was interesting because they didn't come to God saying, hey, God, I need you to do this. When you read the story, you see that King Jehoshaphat's prayer is interesting. He starts out by telling God, you know, hey, thank you for everything you've done. We appreciate it. We appreciate the land you've given us. We appreciate you just for being who you are. And I thought about a lot of times I try to instill something similar in my kids when they first wake up. The first thing I tell them to do, don't come to me asking me, hey, can I do this or can I have that? First say good morning because that shows a sign of respect. Today is a new day that you weren't necessarily promised to see. So when King Jehoshaphat is praying, he comes to God showing reverence and respect. He tells God, hey, you know, you gave us this land. We've been doing what you've asked of us. And now, speaking of this land, there are some people trying to take it from us. And we're not able to necessarily win this fight. So we need you to take care of this for us. Now, that's specifically what King Jehoshaphat asked of God. He said, can you take care of this for us? The second thing you need to understand when you pray, be careful what you pray for because sometimes God will do exactly what you pray for. And it goes on to say, as the people were fasting, King Jehoshaphat was praying, and the nation as a whole was praying. And there was a man by the name of Jahaziel. I'm probably mispronouncing his name, but it's Jahaziel. We'll just call him Jahaziel for right now. It says the Spirit came upon Jahaziel, and he made a statement to the people saying, don't be afraid. This is God's war. And he gave them instruction to meet the enemy at the ravine. So that was nothing but a confirmation to King Jehoshaphat that everything was going to turn out okay. And what do? They get up early the next morning. King Jehoshaphat gets some of his best singers, his praise team, so to speak. And he says, you know what? When we get to this ravine, I need y'all to sing y'all best praise and worship song. And we're going to shout because God is going to take care of the war. You know, one thing about music has a power to change any situation. A lot of times I think about myself, I like all kinds of music. When I'm at home just relaxing, I may have had a long day at work. I may put on a little jazz, a little neo soul, some Jill Scott, Layla Hathaway. Sometimes I may be feeling old school. I may put on some Earth, Wind and Fire or the OJs or the Ohio Players, or the Temptations, or uh, some who are some of these other folks, Ron Isley. Sometimes I may just want to mellow out and kick back. I may put on a little Johnny Taylor. But when I'm in trouble, a lot of times I have to turn to some good gospel music. One thing I learned from my dad is a preacher. He would always tell me, it's nothing wrong with all this new school stuff, but sometimes you need to get some of those old school gospel songs to get you out of these situations that you're going to face later on in life. And sure enough, to this day, a lot of times I find myself listening to some of those old gospel songs because music can change a situation. So the story goes on to say King Jehoshaphat gathered his best singers and he told them, you know what, when we get to this ravine, I want you to sing your best praise and worship songs, and we're going to shout, and we're just going to trust God to handle this war for us. And I imagine those praise team singers was like, well, usually, King, when we sing, people are more receptive of us and our performance. These people want to kill us, but you know what? We're going to trust you anyway and do what you said. Early the next morning, they went down to the ravine. When they got to the ravine, the singer started singing, the people started shouting, and the Ammonites, the Moabites, and the Mennonites were so confused. The Bible says God ambushed them and caused a spirit of confusion that those groups began to attack each other and kill each other. So King Jehoshaphat didn't even have to lift a finger. God took care of the battle for him just like he said he would. And really, a lot of times you just have to understand, if you do the things that you can do, God will do the things that you can't do. And it took them 3 days to go and recover the valuables and the jewelry and the rings and everything from the Ammonites and the Moabites and the Mennonites, because when they died, it was no sense in leaving all that good, all those valuables just there on a dead person. It says it took them 3 days to collect all of that, and they had a parade coming back into town celebrating God's goodness and the victory. No matter what situation you're facing, no matter what shift you're facing, just remember, if you do what you can, God will do what you can't. So that's my time. I hope y'all have a great week. Continue to stay safe. I'm praying for you. We'll be back next week with another shift. Until then, be blessed.